Well, I'm first and foremost an analytical philosopher, which means I value rigor in argumentation and the careful and precise formulation of claims and arguments. I've been drawn in particular to the work of Indian thinkers like Dignaga, Sriharsha, and Gangesha. These are not well-known names, but I think they should be as well-known as Plato, Descartes, and Aristotle. A lot of my work involves redescribing their ideas in a contemporary terms so that the brilliance of their thought becomes accessible to a modern audience. In fact, throughout its history, philosophy in India has been extremely pluralistic, and for that reason it can serve as a blueprint for philosophy in the 21st century. In the history of Indian philosophy, the first great intellectual axis was a dialogue between a series of great Buddhist philosophers on the one hand and a series of philosophers belonging to other schools on the other hand. That created a vibrant intellectual space, which we might call a Sanskrit cosmopolis. The next thing that happened was that that intellectual space overlapped and intersected with another one, the intellectual world of Persian. And India was the only place on the globe where these two great intellectual worlds overlapped. That led to an extraordinary flourishing of new philosophical ideas in early modern India. And in fact, early modern India was the intellectual rival of early modern Europe. Later, this overlap intersected with yet another one, which was the intellectual world of Europe. What I see happening was that India was unique in having this series of overlaps between great intellectual worlds. And I think that's what makes the study of the history of Indian philosophy of such contemporary importance today. So some people have claimed that philosophy is no longer relevant in the modern world where science provides explanations about the nature of the world. First of all, we have to get clear about what philosophy is and what it isn't. Philosophy begins with a sense of awe, a sense of wonder, and a sense of curiosity about the world around us and our place within it. It's a desire to move from perplexity or from uncertainty to clarity. So philosophers try to get clear about the concepts we use, concepts like truth, reason, knowledge, obligation, responsibility, ethnicity, gender, democracy, and value. What philosophy isn't is an attempt to provide causal explanations of the world, and it isn't an attempt to accumulate data about the world. Now, people like Stephen Hawking have argued that philosophy is irrelevant because it's science that should answer the question, what is reality? Reality includes aspects of human reality, such as value, such as moral value, aesthetic value, political value, legal value, epistemic value. And science can't tell us about those aspects of reality. The particular philosophical problems that philosophers deal with have always been affected and influenced by the historical context in which the philosophers have lived. The great philosophical question for the 20th century has been to do with the fact that in the 20th century, a plurality of great world civilizations came together as equals. And the question for philosophy was, how should these great world civilizations, intellectual cultures, speak to one another? The philosopher John Dewey said in 1915, just at the beginning of the First World War, that pluralism is the greatest philosophical question of the age. So the challenge is how to bring different intellectual traditions together while preserving their diversity and not reducing them to homogenization or to leaving them in isolation. Globalization is a double-edged sword, and philosophers have done a great deal to find a middle way between homogenization and universalization on the one hand, and a kind of social constructivism which keeps people apart on the other. And I think it's no accident that India and the US, which are both deeply multicultural and pluralistic societies, have produced the greatest philosophers of the 20th century. So thinkers like Tagore and Ambedkar, like Taylor and Nussbaum, are the defining intellectuals of the era. Well, I think that in the 21st century, philosophy is going to become increasingly cosmopolitan and cross-cultural. I think there's going to be a great deal more work done on retrieving philosophical traditions that were either lost or suppressed under colonialism. And I think that this emergence of a cosmopolitan approach to philosophy will be a very exciting new agenda in the 21st century. Now, I think that Narayana Murthy in creating this prize, is a role model for private investment in the humanities. He's demonstrated the importance to civic society of the humanities in India. And I hope that this prize provides an example for other members of the private sector to follow Narayana Murthy's example.